Before the land cracked under drought, the village thrived in quiet rhythm. Each dawn, women emerged from mud-thatched huts to fetch water from the slowly rising well, balancing clay pots on their heads. Men tended small herds of goats and cattle grazing on hardy shrubs. Children chased after chickens, pecking at scattered grain in the compound. Around courtyards, maize plants stood tall, green tassels swaying with promise, while cassava and sweet potato vines hugged the red soil. Mango trees dotted the horizon, offering patchy shade. In the fields beyond the fence, farmers planted millet and sorghum, hoes glinting in morning light. Gourds and pumpkins dried near doorsteps. Smoke rose from communal fire pits as breakfast simmered. This was a village alive. Chores, chatter, crops, and creatures woven into the seasons. Then the sun came and stayed. Cracked earth stretched for miles. The skies lost their color. Villagers moved slowly, quietly. Women bent low, drawing the last drops from the well. Children clustered goats into slivers of shade. Smoke curled from an unused fire pit, a silent witness to hunger. Mud huts with thatched roofs stood behind a weathered fence. Dry maize stalks were bundled near each door. Gourds hung from eaves. Life persisted, fragile and waiting. In that silence, a child was born, not with a wail, but with a watching stillness. And in that stillness, something stirred, not in the sky, but in the hearts of those who heard her first breath. She came into the world wrapped in wind and whispers, born when the land split open like old clay. The rivers had run dry. The maize fields stood stiff. Smoke clung to empty cooking pots. But when Nanjala cried, sharp and clear, the air stirred, as if the drought itself paused. They named her Nanjala, the one born in hunger. But from the beginning it was clear she held another kind of hunger. Her eyes were wide and steady. She did not wail. She watched. Even the oldest midwife, hands wrinkled like riverbeds, held her breath. "This one sees too much," she whispered. The elders, hardened by years and loss, gathered around Navajo's hut. They came with warnings. Don't expect much from a girl born in a curse. But when they entered, silence fell. The baby's gaze passed through them. One elder knelt and touched her foot. He whispered, "There is a fire under this famine." It was Navajo, her mother, who shaped her path. Holding her close, she prayed, not just to God, but to the winds that carried memory. Let this hunger be her gift. Let it feed not fear, but greatness. And as Nanjala suckled for the first time, lightning split the cloudless sky. By 5, Nanjala could read the wind. She knew which rustling leaves meant goats returning, and which warned of arguments behind mud walls. But what she longed to read were the words in chalk, passed in whispers from teacher to student, always just out of reach. The school stood like a crown on the hill, a single room with a rusted roof that clanged in the wind. It was not far, but for girls like Nanjala, it was worlds away. Why teach a hen to crow? They laughed. So her brothers went off with slates. Nanjala was handed a broom. But hunger is not always for food. Each morning she slipped away. Hiding behind thorn bushes, she peered through cracks in the wall. She watched the lessons like a moth to flame. She traced letters in the dust, whispering answers before the boys could. One day her secret surfaced. Mr. Baraza, the tired-eyed schoolteacher with a young heart, saw her scribbling. He didn't call her out. He watched. Day after day, she returned, barefoot, dust-covered, never late. One evening, he waited at the edge of the hill. "You know today's sum?" he asked. She nodded. He handed her a stub of chalk. "Show me." That night, under the acacia tree, she solved every problem he gave. No desk, no paper, just earth and flame. From then on, she had a place, first in the shadows, then at the back, finally at a desk. Elders frowned, mothers gossiped, but Mr. Baraza stood firm. "We do not deny a growing tree the sun." News spread. The barefoot girl with numbers in her head. Some called her bewitched. Others claimed she had stolen luck meant for boys. One elder muttered, "When a stream flows uphill, wise men look to the sky." Whispers reached the school. One afternoon, the chief's nephew slapped her slate to the ground. "This place is not for you," he spat. Nanjala bent slowly, picked it up, and stood tall. "You fear me?" she asked. "If knowledge belongs to you alone, why does it bloom in me?" Silence. That night the council gathered. Fires glowed, voices clashed. Some demanded her removal, but Naveo sat at the center, a worn sandal in her lap. "She walks with less than you give your goats," she said quietly. "Yet she walks farther." The fire cracked. A week later, another girl lingered at the classroom wall, then another. Slowly, like rain softening dry earth, the village began to shift. Nanjala didn't win with shouting. She won by standing still as the wind howled and not bending. Word came, a regional exam, a chance for boarding school. Boys strutted, girls swept porches. That night, Nanjala spread her mother's old kitenge across the floor and studied. The challenge wasn't the exam, it was permission. The council hesitated. Mr. Baraza was silent, but Navajo stood before them. "You call it shame when a girl wants to learn. I call it prophecy. Let her take the test. If she fails, I'll carry your scorn. But if she passes, you carry her name." Silence, then a nod. The morning of the exam, Nanjala walked 5 miles barefoot. Her feet blistered, but she refused shoes. "Let the earth remember my journey," she whispered. Inside, boys smirked. "You're Nanjala?" the supervisor asked, flipping the register. She nodded, then smiled, and began. Weeks later, a sealed envelope arrived. The village gathered. The council opened it in the square. Top score, not just for girls. Overall, her journey beyond the hills began. But she never forgot the dust under her feet. At her new school, whispers spread ahead of her. Some waited for her to stumble over polished floors, foreign accents. But Nanjala walked in barefoot, notebook tucked like a secret. A teacher sneered, "You don't look like a top scorer." She replied, "Then you've never looked at potential through the right lens." She tutored under the jacaranda. Boys, girls. Those who had failed, those too scared to try. She turned shame into essays, silence into strength. One girl, Emina, stood and recited a poem. "Women are rivers, quiet but unstoppable." By her final year, Nanjala spoke to new students, not just about books, but about rising. Then came the letter, a scholarship to study abroad. She stared at it a long time, not in doubt, but in wonder. "I'll go," she said, "but I'll return, always." Years later, she crossed a university stage in a land of snow and glass. But her roots stayed deep. She returned quietly, purposefully. The village had changed. Paved roads, backpacks on girls' shoulders, fathers at the market. She built a library where thorns once grew. Above the door, knowledge knows no gate. She taught again, beneath the acacia, not just facts, but how to listen, how to rise. Elders sat in the front row. Mothers brought their daughters. She was born in hunger, they said, and returned to feed us all. And when the rains came again, they didn't wash the hunger away, they fed it, and from that hunger many grew. One day a small girl traced the library wall with her fingers. Her name? Nanjala.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more.